You mentioned Rice and the question of whether or not he should have been playing. And I did a little something last night in the pregame. He had 103 receiving yards last night. He's clearly their number one receiving option, with Xavier Worthy being not far behind. But Rashee Rice is the guy, other than, the security blanket Travis Kelce. What crystallized for me yesterday, and I didn't have a lot of time to delve into it during the pregame show, they're not going to do anything about Rashee Rice this year. He's playing the whole season.
Yep.
The only way he doesn't play the entire season would be if he pleads guilty to one or more felony charges between now and the end of the season. Because at that point, the league could say, they won't commit to this, but they could say that is the material change that would trigger the placement of Rashee Rice on paid leave, also known as the Commissioner Exempt list. Because they've said, we don't anticipate putting him on paid leave, barring a material change in the case. And I asked the question yesterday, would a guilty plea be a material change? And I got kind of and I don't have the exact language, I'll write something about it later, but it's like that would be a factor that we would consider in determining whether to put him on paid leave. So there's no trial date. So there's no reason to plead guilty to anything. The earliest a trial could happen is December, based upon some of the actual, work that I did yesterday, calling people and talking to people and trying to figure out where this stands and what could change between now and the end of the season. If there's no trial, there's no moment where, hey, are we going to work out a deal in advance or not? The one thing that prosecutors could do if they really wanted to screw Rashee Rice, and I would think they would have done it already, you go to him with a deal and you say, look, here's our offer. This is the best deal we're ever going to give you. If you don't take this deal right now, it's gone forever and we're going to trial on the 8 felony counts. You got 24 hours to take this deal. And from a legal standpoint, he'd probably be stupid not to take it, depending upon what the offer is. But from an NFL standpoint, it could put him on the Commissioner Exempt list while they evaluate and determine what the final punishment would be under the personal conduct policy. That's the only way the status quo is changing, is if the prosecutors decide we're going to really stick it to this guy and make him an offer he can't refuse and yank that offer from the table and take this thing to trial whenever trial would happen at some point in 2025.
Well, and we talked about this last week, Mike, but he's very fortunate that nobody was killed in that wreck. But you know what? The NFL could have used him as example, too, to say this behavior, we can't have this, and we're not going to have this, and we're not going to tolerate this. But he is playing. He's playing well. He's their number one receiver, no doubt about it. And the offense is going to run through him and Xavier Worthy all year long. So they've got an exciting offense, and I, like you, expect that they'll have him all year and probably have to serve that suspension next year. There will be a suspension, and I would expect that it's going to be a pretty lengthy suspension.
I know this is a graphic example, but it proves the point as well, if not better than anything can. When you play Russian roulette, and obviously I do not advise that as a hobby, a pastime, or any type of diversion. But if you play Russian roulette and you get an empty chamber, no harm, no foul, right? You still shouldn't be playing Russian roulette. And if you don't stop it one of these times, it's not going to be empty. That's why I've believed there should have been something done, given the video that we've seen, given what could have happened. If you don't address that behavior, somebody's going to keep rolling the dice. Somebody's going to keep doing that because, hey, no harm, no foul. Nobody got killed. Rashee Rice is still playing. That's the concern that I have. But he'll be there. And I mention it because I think when I said last night it's likely he's going to play the entire season, that's really not Pulitzer worthy. It's not, I got into somebody's dumpster and pieced together a little, it's just kind of like the final bottom line synthesis of everything we've seen, everything I've learned, everything we've heard. He's playing this year. And the only way he isn't is if the prosecutors decide there's a way to stick it to him. Let's go ahead and do it. Because we, as the prosecutors, want to address the behavior, even though the outcome was far better than it could have been. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.